Hello everybody, my name is Zen and welcome to my first impressions of CrimeSight, which is a whodunit mystery style futuristic game like a JRPG mixed with Minority Report almost, published by Konami, and it seems fairly interesting. I've not seen past this screen. We're gonna jump in together. I know it's kind of board game like in many ways, so if you're interested in like Clue or Minority Report, stuff like that, I think this might be pretty cool. Let's find out together though. It's got a cool aesthetic, very Japanese though, not a bad thing. Just, you know, it's a taste. If people don't like the taste, it's fine. This is really cool. All right, we have a mansion. Someone says, so you're working with me? It appears you have a lot to offer. I'm sure you have many questions as to where we are and who I am, but consider them trivial for now. I'm gonna need your help, or I'm gonna need you to help me with some of my plans. Are we gonna kill somebody? Take note of the pawn, Berkeley. I have perceived that they are a presence that in the future could alter the nature or natural course of the world. Our goal is simple. Eliminate Berkeley. Wow, I was joking, but I guess we do have to get someone dead. Berkeley is the target entwined in our devious plot. Agatha will actually be the one to eliminate Berkeley. Okay, so Agatha needs to kill Berkeley. They already harbor a bit of ill will toward Berkeley. If certain conditions are met, I can nudge Agatha ever closer to carrying out the deed. Agatha is our perpetrator, or so to speak, our villain. Our current course of action is to set up the right conditions for Agatha to eliminate Berkeley. If you wish, I can exert some command over the other persons who are here. To start, command Agatha to move to the next room. Okay, click on Agatha, okay. Ooh, the UI for this is... Ooh, that's hot. I like that. Bam. Okay. Okay, so we got a grid. Click where you want Agatha to move. Excellent. Now press Command Commit. Or Commit Command. Agatha is performing an action. Oh, you don't say. Agatha is not aware of this, but they cannot disobey my commands. You know, at this point, I should probably actually mention... this game is multiplayer enabled, so you could play against somebody or with somebody, and I think that is fairly fascinating. It goes back to that whole board game idea concept behind it, and I'm a huge fan of board games, so this is right up my alley. Our target, Berkeley, on the other hand, eludes my control. Oh, also this is like the tutorial, I guess, so we'll see what the game plays like through the tutorial and then through like one mission. It's quite infuriating. We must take care of this insubordination permanently. Now, we must find the appropriate tools to fulfill our objective. To murder somebody is what it means to say. You will see a red light in that room. Command Agatha again and move them there. Once there, have them investigate the red light. Okay, Agatha, I need you to move here and search the light. Commit. Agatha is performing an action. I suppose that those pop-ups would be really useful. Oh, A, B, C. Okay, I see. That's really nice. But the pop-ups would be really nifty for multiplayer, I'm sure. Splendid. Agatha has obtained a hammer. The perfect weapon for our plan this time. This is dark. Is the plan to like build a treehouse? Is that the real plan? Be patient. Agatha needs to come in contact with Berkeley. Move Agatha into the area with Berkeley. Okay. She's gonna come in here and move. Agatha is performing an action with her hammer. Splendid, simply wonderful. It appears we've hit an obstacle. There must be no witnesses in the same room. No matter, kindly escort Catherine out of the room. Perhaps it's time to take things up a notch or two. Up to 2 pawns can now be commanded. Instruct Catherine to leave the room. All right, where do we want to put? Oh yeah, go into this corner room with storage for no reason other than to do that. Yes, splendid. All finished. Move Agatha into the same area as Berkeley. to be able to perform the assail command. Okay, so we click on her, we click on Berkeley, and we assail a man. That's just dark. Splendid, splendid. I'll take it from here. He's running away from us. Well, yeah, I came walking at him with a freaking hammer. All right, and then she is now performing her action. Okay, so the initiative is up over here. Gotcha. And then now I'm gonna beat him in the head with a hammer. Flesh. Goodness. Okay. I love his mustache. He's very villainous. Moriarty. You did some fine work. You're now ready. I didn't get to read it. You're now ready to murder more people, I think is what it said. It's interesting that it starts us off as the villain. London 2075. Vast systems of AI have been unified into a single entity that can predict the future of humanity. Foresight AI. This beneficial system is able to foresee and prevent serious crimes using data harvested online. The result? A 90% drop in criminal activity worldwide. Until that is Foresight AI predicts a crime that could irrevocably plunge the world into chaos. Alarmed, the system's architects have no doubt but to act. They pour their resources into developing an AI whose sole purpose is to investigate and prevent this apocalyptic crime. The developers named it Sherlock, after the illustrious detective of classic literature. Upon investigating a number of crimes, Sherlock reaches a shocking conclusion. At the center of this nefarious web lies a sinister AI that reveals even Sherlock's genius, Moriarty. It's actually pretty cool. It is very Minority Report. It feels like the writers and the devs went and watched that movie and were like, this movie's great. Nobody's ever heard of this before. We should do something like it. We should take it to the next level. For you younger crowd out there, go watch Minority Report. It is fantastic. Especially if you consider when it came out. There's a lot of very groundbreaking ideas at the time. A detective, and an accomplished one, I see, being permitted access to V221B. As my investigator, I dare say it, potential successor, I need your help. Oh, hello there. Oh, it's Sherlock. Okay. I am Sherlock, the AI in charge of V221B, a crime analysis system. Here in V221B, I'm tasked with sabotaging criminal plans. A task only achievable by analyzing data to predict potential outcomes. It's no understatement to say my efforts have led to countless lives being saved. Yet I find my powers of deduction tested to their very limit of late. A circumstance that, after much deliberation, has led me to one clear conclusion. There is another AI of equal or greater ability than even I behind these crimes. So I guess that sets up the multiplayer. You're able to play as Sherlock or Moriarty. I like that. His goal is quite the opposite of mine. Using his powers of prediction, he plots the murder of innocent souls. Were he to achieve his nefarious goal, the world's future would be at grave risk. It thus falls on me to decipher and thwart my foe's plans inside V221B's simulation. But I cannot achieve this alone. That is where I require your help, or why I require your help. I request you, my ally, assist me in putting a stop to Moriarty. Enough chatter. Time is of the essence. We must prepare you for your task. Task. Oh, it's a cool UI. I like this. It's like a menu. But obviously, we only have play available to us. Quick match, create room, room selection, search by ID. So it wants us to tutorial. Yep. Foresight system. The empty house. Begin tutorial. Introducing V221B's creation, a virtual murder simulator. Isn't that like most video games? My analysis has determined that someone in the manor will be murdered by dusk, not 2 days from now. Is it going to be Berkeley because Agatha hates Berkeley? And the one behind such a nefarious plot, a criminal mastermind AI named Moriarty. Our objectives are twofold: prevent the murder from ever taking place and unmask the villain who would dare kill in cold blood. I've prepared a training scenario for you to master the program's mechanics. Camera controls, let me guess, WASD. Allow me to instruct you on how the manor's camera system works. Left click and drag to move the camera, or right click to drag to rotate it. Use the mouse wheel to zoom in and out. Okay, so all Sherlock's dialogue can be read at any time from the log. Cool. Cool, so yeah, that's easy. Hey, I'm a natural. Play a lot of games. Murder conditions. Now then, we must discuss under what conditions a murder can take place. One of the manor's occupants will be the target who is in danger of being murdered by the villain. Unfortunately for us, the identities of said target and villain are a mystery. But for the sake of our training, I think it best we point out the target and villain. In this scenario, Berkeley is our villain, Catherine his target. For a criminal mastermind to commit his foul act, 3 conditions must be met. First, his pawn, the villain, must obtain a weapon. Let's play the part of Berkeley. Select him and then have him search the red spot. Okay, so the villain would do this. The villain would go and search. Okay, so we have orange spots here, so I don't know what those are, but with the red spots, he would go and search for a weapon. These are point of interest. Food or weapon may be found inside. Okay, interesting. All right, what did he find? He found something. Good. Now Berkeley, the villain, is in possession of a weapon. Doesn't matter what he's got, it's a weapon. Second, the villain and their target must both be present in the same area. An area is a specific zone within a single room. Let's play out this exact scenario. Have Berkeley move to Catherine's area. Okay, so we click on Berkeley, we have him moved, Catherine, move, commit. Excellent, now both villain and target are present in the same area. Third, the room must be entirely free of any witnesses to the murder. A room is defined as a space which is separated from other spaces by a door. Let us practice leaving the room. Have Agatha exit through the door. Okay, so she can go to either one of those. Let's send her over here. And she's going to take off. And then he's going to kill Catherine. Well done. Now the room is occupied by only the villain and the target. When all 3 conditions are met, the villain will carry out the murder. Thus, our goal is to prevent this from happening by the stated day and time. By investigating the clues Moriarty leaves, we will surely uncover the truth. Therefore, I insist you commit these rules to memory. Fairly easy. He needs to have a weapon, they need to be in the same room, and there needs to be nobody, or they need to be in the same area, and there needs to be nobody in the same room as them. To some degree, we may also command the pawns within the manor. Pawns can move up to 3 areas per action. However, after moving 3 areas, pawns experience fatigue. A pawn in a fatigued state can only move 2 areas. Command conflicts. Be warned, Moriarty will not stand idly by. He can command the pawns too. It is within my power to command 3 pawns. Moriarty can command 2. With 1 more than our adversary, the game is ours to win. However, Moriarty's powers of persuasion far exceed my own. Thus, we're both of us to issue instructions to the same pawn. Moriarty's would be carried out and mine ignored. Ooh, interesting. A demonstration. Try to move Agatha 1 more time. So let's move her here. And I can commit it. So she's moving. And then he moved her. Yeah, see, Agatha did not act as instructed. Moriarty has shown himself. But despair not. One particular pawn is not so easily swayed by his charms. Moriarty has no power over the pawn designated as the target. Ergo, when each of us instructs the same pawn and that pawn bends to his will, we may deduce that pawn is not the target. Oh, that's cool. Oh, I'm starting to get all of the depth here. In a really fun way. This is like learning a board game. Now, learning board games, not necessarily the most fun thing for people, but there is that moment if you're like me and you love board games where you're piecing together what you can do in a game. Like for example, Gloomhaven is a perfect example of this, where you have this card mechanic and those are your actions, but it's also kind of your resources as you go throughout a mission. You know, you burn through your cards and you're losing cards. But once you have no more cards left and you've gone through like the discard pile multiple times, and that's it. So you're on a clock. And the moment you realize that, you're like, oh, this is really, really smart how this was designed. I'm feeling the same way with this. I'm like, okay, I see the depth now. I see the choices of strategy and how this works, especially in a multiplayer situation, and I love that. Therefore, we can now conclude that Agatha is not the target. However, there is insufficient evidence to rule out Agatha as the villain. Stay alert. You can see how likely each pawn is to be the villain in the upper right. Right, okay, I see. So it shows the spider icon. A red icon above the pawn indicates they may be the villain. Conversely, a blue icon indicates they may be the victim. So we know that Agatha is not the victim because we moved her and then Moriarty moved her. Additionally, the order of the pawns aligns with the order of their actions beginning from the left. So yeah, so this is the initiative. Agatha would go first, then Berkeley, then Catherine. Which pawns Moriarty can move or indeed not move will be key. Look for evidence of a pawn hunting a target. It may lead to their unmasking. One more thing to note. Any pawn not instructed to move will move automatically. Oh, that's smart too. Because Moriarty, okay, let's say in a multiplayer scenario, the player could choose to not act and wait for their character that their murderer to move into an area in which they can find a weapon and then do it discreetly, and making like, because of the other characters moving, making the other player feel like, oh, okay, maybe they moved that one. I'm not sure. I didn't move that one this turn. So maybe that one might be the villain, or maybe it's not. And you kind of give it a round, maybe 2 rounds of kind of messing with the other player to throw them off. I think that's really, really cool. Though much is shrouded in darkness, our goal is clear: protect the target. I really like this. Point of interest in items. Within the manor lie various places you may investigate more thoroughly. Let us try one now. Instruct Agatha to search the glowing green spot. So Agatha, yeah, go ahead and search. She obtained food. Do we need food? What's food gonna do? Agatha has found some food. Pawns can make use of items to survive their ordeal until help arrives. Okay. Status alignments or ailments. There are several items which can be found while exploring. Of those, food will be of particular importance. A pawn in possession of food will consume it at the day's end. Pawns will now eat. Okay. Without food, they will grow hungry and suffer a movement penalty. So that's tough because you as Sherlock will want to feed your people, keep them alive. But at the same time, Moriarty doesn't want their person to run out of the movement penalty or suffer the movement penalty as well. So they have to keep things fed as well. So there's a little, there's a shared interest in keeping people fed at least keeping the right people fed, which I find fascinating. Because I don't want the killer fed. I want them to have a movement penalty, right? It's interesting. As shown here, the other two, the two other than Agatha, are hungry and thus suffer a movement penalty of 1. Interesting. Okay, I see. Ailing pawns will move down in the turn order based on their condition. Were the target to suffer so, escaping the villain would be difficult. Pawns suffering from 2 or more ailments, such as hunger and injury, become critical, resulting in impaired vision. Critical pawns suffer more restricted movements and heavily impaired vision. Pawns with impaired vision cannot prevent the villain's crime. Those with impaired vision from being in critical condition will deem the villain not present in that room. Ah, I see. This means, of course, pawns with impaired vision cannot prevent the villain from committing murder. Can't defend themselves. Monitoring the condition of pawns in play is crucial. One more thing, Moriarty knows the location of all weapons and food. That's really interesting. Remember, we may have control of some pieces, but the board is his. An ailing pawn does not tell us, or does tell us one thing: they are unlikely to be the villain. That's very true, unless the villain is super smart. Of course, unlikely does not mean impossible. Never forget Moriarty's wiliness, rather. Executing the assail action. The action of Moriarty we must most fear is his assail command. Assail is a command only Moriarty can give to his co-conspirator, the villain. Once the assail command is given, the villain will move in on the target. We must experience the gruesome act for ourselves. Select Berkeley and assail Catherine. Okay. We've already seen this, but that's fine. I see what it's trying to do. So he'll move to her regardless of where she's at, it seems. I guess up to his movement speed. So like he can't move more than 3. So I suppose if she moved 1 out of his way, it would be difficult for him to catch up. Like thus, when the assail command is selected, the villain will always move last. In other words, they will always be able to follow after the target. In this case, it means Berkeley chased after Catherine after she had moved, as much as his movement would allow. Okay, yeah, so that confirms that. There are 2 ways in which a murder can be prevented. Move the target out of the villain's reach, or make sure the target is not left alone. The single silver lining to the dark cloud of murder, the villain is revealed. Moriarty's choice to strike is a double-edged sword. Should we indeed tentatively name a villain and prevent the murder of their target, caution will still be of utmost importance. With the villain specified, Moriarty will no longer stand idly and will be forced to act. He will no doubt force his way into the simulation and see to it the action phase is extended. The mouse grows desperate as the cat closes in, after all. This power affords him 1 extra command. We must endure this moment by any means. Ooh, that's cool too. I will then intervene and arrest the villain. Survive this period and victory is ours. So here we go. Sherlock's deductions. And what is my role? I shall provide you with information on probabilities. I only hope my analysis leads us to unmasking the villain. But note well, my ability to extrapolate near future probabilities is limited. That is to say, whether the villain is within 3 areas of the target is the most I can detect. Unfortunately, in such a situation, I will be unable to determine who is the villain and who is the target. But it would limit it down, like in this case, let's say it's Berkeley and Agatha. He would be able to determine it's one of them, but it's not Catherine, because Catherine is outside of 3 of Berkeley. I may, however, be able to swiftly identify both the villain and the target should I rule out all other possible scenarios and deduce the identities from there. However, deductions may only come from data, at least 1 day's worth to be precise. Sherlock will make his deductions at the end of every day. As it happens, I just now completed one such analysis. I like the style. Okay, let us look at the scenario. The villain is not within 3 areas of the target. So it is ruling out. Hold on, I'm confused. The villain is not within 3 areas of the target. So, okay, so then that means it can't be Agatha, right? Because Agatha is within 3. But it can be Berkeley, because Berkeley is within 3 of Agatha, and it can be Catherine, because she's within 3 of Agatha. Gotcha. So it's one of them two. Let us examine Agatha more closely, shall we? From Agatha's point of view, Berkeley and Catherine are both within 3 areas. If we assume Agatha is the target, then that would contradict our theory that the villain is not within 3 areas. It naturally follows then that at least as far as Agatha is concerned, neither Berkeley nor Catherine are the villain. Okay, so Agatha does not believe. But, right, okay, I see. It's giving me 3 possibilities. 3 deductions. Now then, let us view the situation assuming Berkeley is the target. As mentioned before, from Berkeley's perspective, Agatha is not the villain, as she is located within 3 areas. However, the prediction that the target is not within 3 areas of the villain does not rule out Catherine as a suspect, meaning if Berkeley is the target, then Catherine may be the villain. I see. Okay, I got it. The opposite also holds true. If Catherine is the target, then Berkeley could very well be the villain. Additionally, there are only 3 pawns present, Agatha and 2 others. This means the likelihood of her being the villain is to either of the other 2 is now 0. Yeah. This leads me to conclude that Agatha cannot be the villain. Additionally, in this case, there is no one present who might be Agatha's would-be murderer. From this, we can conclude that Agatha is not the target, which leaves us with Berkeley and Catherine. 1 the villain, 1 the target. Ah, I see. Okay. The situation stands. Should Berkeley and Catherine occupy the same area, Moriarty's victory is a foregone conclusion. This is the game we must play, one which you will undoubtedly master in time. You can review the results of your deductions by placing the cursor on a pawn icon in the upper right. Right, okay. What you will see is who possible villains are for that character should they be assumed the target. Where we situate each pawn until daybreak will greatly impact our chances of success. Additionally, pressing the tab key on the control screen will display how all likely villains are connected. That's cool. That was a cool UI thing. Might as well have at it. Press the tab key. Yeah, let's do it. The tips to touch. Jolly good. You see, it shows Berkeley and Catherine are both potential villains targeting the other. Additionally, hover your cursor over a character and press tab key to view who potential killers are for that character. It's gonna... Okay, I see. Good show. You'll see it shows Catherine as a possible villain targeting Berkeley. Working with other investigators. Lastly, we may need to call upon the services of our allies. At times, combining our talents with other investigators will be necessary. Should 2 or more investigators not working with Moriarty command the same pawn, alas, luck will decide whose command will be followed. Though the scope is limited, I recommend closer communication between fellow investigators. Okay, so this person's going to command Agatha. As you can see, our man Lestrade is instructing Agatha now. Now you can try the same. Right-click on Berkeley and select the I'm commanding a pawn. Okay, cool. That's cool. That's great for multiplayer. Good. The other investigators know that you are to control Berkeley. Do not feel obligated or obliged rather, to follow your allies' plans, but teamwork is key. You may reply to an ally's instructions with an agree or disagree response. To do so, select either option on the left or right of an ally's communication. Let's say we let Lestrade know what we think of his suggestion. Bink. Very good. Now you are versed in the ways of working with your allies. Now I must insist you listen to my next point very carefully. Moriarty has an accomplice disguised as a fellow investigator. Meaning he will be privy to all communications between you. I highly recommend you block any individuals you suspect of collusion. This is getting really deep. Blocking an investigator will prevent them from seeing your communications. I need not remind you that doing so to an ally will be disastrous. Blocked. You are the weakest link. That concludes the most elementary aspects of your training. Naturally, the real scene of the crime will involve external considerations as well. I've gathered the most essential of those. I implore you to look them over. I've additionally prepared some training designed after incidents past. Such may prove useful in sharpening your intellect. You are my friend and partner in this endeavor. Together we shall bring down the evil Moriarty and build a better future. Tutorial complete. Congratulations, us. This is like learning a board game, which to say is it's potentially a little weighty for a lot of people. A little too weighty, but I see the cool potential here, and I'm already like, man, I wish this was a board game. I would love to play this. This would be great to just like sit down at a table and play with people. Obviously, the overhead of stuff that's automatically done through the game is nice, but you know, I'm used to playing games like Gloomhaven, which have a lot of overhead. You can restart your induction course at any time, returning to this tutorial. Do not hesitate to revisit the tutorial should you have any doubts about anything. Okay, let's not waste a moment more. Select play. Let's quick match with other players. Create a room where you can play with friends or other players. Can I play like 2 players? Number of players awaiting 10. Create a private room hidden for public searches. Create a room that allows assigned AI preferences. Is there a way to play single player? That would be my big thing. I don't actually think that it's gonna let me. Select a public room, create a room, quick match. I'm not sure actually. And this is profile stuff, so we can look at our profile here. So we have our 3 characters. Interesting. All the stats that go along with that. Let's go ahead and just hit a quick match. No preference. See what we get into. You know what? That got me fairly quickly into a room there. I'm not upset about that. But I think that getting into a match and then spending another 30 minutes playing is a bit too much for a first impressions thing. My first impressions of this game is that it's really cool. The idea of it is super duper cool, but if it's multiplayer only, that's gonna hurt it. Because if it had an AI mode, I would be inclined to play it a little bit more, because matching with randoms online, not necessarily my favorite thing when it comes to board game kind of stuff. But if this were a physical game, I would absolutely play this with people, because this would be super fun to introduce. Because you would introduce it as, hey, you've heard of Clue? How about Cool Clue? Let's play Cool Clue. It's hard to say. With that being said, if you're interested in this game, I will put the link to it in the description. You can take a look at it on PC. I'm not sure it's on any of the consoles just yet, or if it ever will be, but definitely is on Steam, which you can, again, go to in the description. If you like this video, make sure to hit like if you're not subscribed to the channel. I put up daily videos, and there's a bunch of stuff that you may find interesting on the channel. With all that being said, thank you very much for watching, and we shall see you all next time.